More than 1,000 flights canceled today as a result of the government shutdown, and for some travelers, the stakes could not be higher. A woman named Luana Griffin told us that she booked a flight for next week to spend a few days with her mother, who has terminal cancer. Any delay or cancellation of her return flight could cause her to miss work, something she cannot afford to do with a contract job. She told CNN, quote, "I have very limited time left with my mom and so many other decisions. This is the last thing I need." Let's discuss all this with Brian Kelly. He's founder of The Points Guy. Brian, some advice out there says that travelers should book a refundable backup flight with another airline every time they book a flight. For people who have the money, is that a good idea? And what happens if you don't have the money? What do you do?
Yeah, I couldn't believe Frontier CEO actually recommended. That's the first time in my life I've heard of an airline CEO recommending people do this. Yeah, if you can afford to do it, absolutely. Just remember to cancel it. Also, using your frequent flyer miles, almost every U.S. airline will let you cancel up until departure. So just make sure you book an extra ticket on another carrier. But for everyone else, I think you just got to be on the offense here. Do not wait for the airlines to contact you. Several of our writers at The Points Guy have had flight cancellations, never gotten email or notice from the airline. So it's critical. Everyone who's traveling, in the near future, log in right now and double check that your reservation is still active, and keep checking it because these cancellations keep rolling.
What are your rights if one's flight is canceled? What can I as a passenger do if I go up on the board there and I see that the flight's been canceled?
So you're right by the Department of Transportation is if your flight's canceled for any reason, you get a full cash refund. Do not let the airline give you a voucher. Many agents will try to do that, and online they will as well. Or if your flight's delayed domestically 3 hours or more, say you want to throw in the towel and go home, you are owed a full refund. Once again, do not take a voucher. But beyond that, you're not entitled to much, which is why it's critical to use a credit card that has flight disruption. Most of the major travel credit cards have this, and so many people don't know about it. So if you've got non-refundable hotels that you're not going to be able to use, always file a claim with your credit card company or travel insurance. And I personally buy a yearly travel insurance package that will cover me if the credit card won't.
So what tips do you have for folks who are going to the airport and their flights are not canceled? What else should they know?
Yeah, everyone out there, many flights and many airports are operating smoothly. So, certain airports, I recommend using an app called Flighty. It'll actually tell you where your plane is coming from. And it'll also, I follow them on X and FlightAware. See where your plane is coming from. See whether the airport you're traveling out of that day is a hotspot. Today, the problem child is DCA, which is seeing a huge amount of backup due to air traffic control shortages. It's sort of a game of hot potato. So I would just say be proactive and make sure you understand the airport you're flying out of, what the situation is.
All right, Brian Kelly, thanks so much. Appreciate it. A reminder, these delays and cancellations mean much more than just an inconvenience for thousands, if not millions of Americans traveling. This is a major self-inflicted blow to the American economy. Medicines are not getting to people who need them. People are not able to get to their dying loved ones. CNN's Arlette Saenz is on Capitol Hill for us. Arlette, is Congress any closer to ending the shutdown?
No, Jake, it really does not seem so. And in fact, it feels like frustration is really beginning to boil over up here on Capitol Hill. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer earlier today unveiled a Democratic counter proposal to Republicans, which said that they would vote to reopen the government if Republicans also agreed to a 1-year extension of those Obamacare subsidies. Now, shortly after Schumer offered that proposal, Senate Republicans began huddling together in a caucus meeting, and I was catching up with several of those Republican senators as they were leaving moments ago, and they were very frustrated with this proposal. Senator Bill Cassidy said that this was an unreasonable proposal from Schumer, that he likened it to sabotage. Senate Majority Leader John Thune has said that this proposal really is a non-starter. Any Republicans who have talked about extending Obamacare subsidies have always said that there needs to be some type of reforms to the program. So they are just not going to buy in to this proposal from from Schumer. But Democrats are really feeling united and emboldened in this moment after their success in last Tuesday's elections. They believe that voters have shown that they want their Democrats to continue fighting against Republican leaders up here on Capitol Hill. So right now, it really does not appear like there is an immediate end to this standoff, but Senate Majority Leader John Thune did say that he expects the Senate, Republicans at least, to be here over the weekend. It's just unclear whether they'll actually be voting on anything to reopen the government.
All right, Arlette Saenz on Capitol Hill, thanks so much. Joining us now, Democratic Congresswoman Chrissy Houlihan of Pennsylvania. Congresswoman, good to see you. So your district includes Chester County, just outside Philly, and just outside the Philadelphia International Airport, which is one of the 40 airports seeing these significant flight cuts. I'm sure you're hearing from constituents who use the airport or work at the airport or rely on the airport. Are any of them telling you that it's time for Democrats to not hold the line anymore on this issue, that there should be a deal, there should be a government funding bill that passes?
So, first of all, thank you for having me on. And secondly, of course, we're hearing from our constituents, and many of them are calling about a variety of different issues. I will say that one of the top issues that they're calling about, to be honest, is the fact that Speaker Johnson and the leadership in the Senate has, on the Republican side, has done nothing to come to the table. And so the number one phone call I've gotten this week is about that, not about the airlines and about catching flights. I can tell you, obviously, that I'm acutely aware of the pain that people are going through, whether they are missing paychecks or not getting SNAP benefits. That being said, the resounding amount of calls in my 40-40-20 district at this point in time is to stay the course and to maintain the fight to make sure that people have affordable, quality, accessible health care.
So earlier you talked about Speaker Johnson earlier this week, and for people who don't know you, this is not your normal nature. You're a rather, I don't know if demure is the right word, but you're a rather polite person. I think that's fair, right? You tend to be rather polite. And you confronted Speaker Mike Johnson about the shut. Yeah. No, I'm not criticizing you. I just want to set up this clip to make sure people know that this is not normally how you act. This is you at a press conference that the Republicans were holding. And here's just a little snippet of a tense exchange that you two had.
You have an obligation to call the leadership of both parties and bring us together.
You voted to shut down the government. You voted to stop SNAP benefits. You voted to not pay the troops, not pay TSA, Border Patrol. You may regret it now, but that's your vote and it's on the record.
Sir, I do not regret anything.
So your senators, both of your senators, are not with you on your position on the government shutdown. Republican Dave McCormick obviously voting with Republicans, but Senator John Fetterman, a Democrat, is one of the 3 Senate Democrats that is continually voting to open the government, to fund the government. They say that they agree with your position on the Obamacare subsidies, but they just don't think shutting the government down is the way to do it. Why do you think Fetterman and McCormick are wrong?
I believe very strongly that they're wrong, because I believe we are operating in an environment where I cannot believe or trust that the other side, so to speak, will actually negotiate in a fair way would we to open the government. And I believe that because of 9 months of experience. And I believe that because over those 9 months, the government has effectively been being slowly shut down, slowly strangled. And in addition, the administration has been behaving as though they are the Congress. They are behaving like they hold the power of the purse. And to be honest, I don't blame them, because the Speaker of the House and the leadership of the Republican Party has allowed them to continue to proceed that way. And so there's no faith existing anymore that we would have good and decent conversations would we open the government. And there's just too much at stake. We've got people who are, in my community, 60 to 70% increases on average in their premiums if this happens in the next several weeks. And now is the time to have these conversations. And it's important that people understand that I think we need to show up to work. We need to get our acts together. And that's not what's happening. The Republicans control the House, the Senate, and the White House. And we have seen nothing of them other than them standing in front of microphones.
Yeah, I like this idea of members of Congress getting paid and not doing any work. I mean, maybe you guys can do something about the anchors won't have to do work, and
Sure,
we can continue to get paid also. That would be that.
Yeah. I'd like to point out that I have declined to be paid during this time, and many of my colleagues on the Democratic side have done the same. But I don't disagree with you. I absolutely think we should not receive pay if we shut the government down.
Congresswoman Christy Houlihan, Democrat from the great Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. It's always good to see you. Thank you.